Ladies and gentlemen, this is the TCA Sidestick Airbus Edition by Thrustmaster. And the product was provided to me courtesy of Thrustmaster, so I do want to thank them very much for providing me with this unit to showcase here on the channel. And also worthwhile mentioning that this product is officially licensed by Airbus. What I'd like to do in this video is to show you guys all the features of this Sidestick by Thrustmaster and provide you with my thoughts. The first thing you'll notice is that this unit is not very large and not very small. It is mainly built of, it's a plastic structure, so most of the components are built from very high quality plastic, I must say. The final finish of the product is very, very good, so really commendable in terms of the edges here, so there are no rough edges. Everything is symmetrical, very, very nice quality in terms of the finish. The imprint here of the Thrustmaster logo and all the print here, the Airbus logo here on the back of the unit looks very nice and very high quality. Overall, the buttons, the hat switch, all the buttons are plastic, but they're very high quality plastic. Now the unit did not come with anything to mount, but you don't really need it in my view. However, there are in the back here of the unit the place for the screws. Here, let me just, right here and right here. However, it did not come with any screws to mount on a table. Now this unit is very, very lightweight, so maybe 2 pounds at best, 2.5 pounds at best. So very light, very easy to actually just move around your desk. And the nice thing about it is that the actual stick does not need a lot of force to counter the tension in the springs. So as you can see here, I'm going to start moving to all kind of directions, and the unit is not displaced on the surface here. Though in spite of the fact that it's a very, very light unit, it doesn't really move because it doesn't really take a lot of effort to move the stick, which looks very much like an Airbus stick. I absolutely love the design. And also it's got a Z-axis, so you can actually tilt it left and right for yaw movement, for example. So you've got the pitch, the roll, and the yaw. All of those you can configure in the sim, and we'll see how to map this in X-Plane shortly. Now another thing that you will really appreciate in this unit is the fact that they thought of a co-pilot and pilot configuration. An Airbus captain operates the aircraft from the left seat and uses his left hand to operate the stick, whereas the co-pilot is on the right seat and uses the right hand to operate the aircraft. And a very nice addition to this is this little switch here, which can be configured for either right-handed or left-handed operation of the joystick. I thought this was really, really good. really a nice touch to to this joystick. So you can operate it as a pilot or co-pilot. I have currently configured it so that it works as a co-pilot because I'm right-handed. Also, it comes with those two buttons you can replace, so you can unscrew these, take them out, and you have a spare parts that will basically connect for left-handed operation. So you can unscrew them and just screw the other pieces there, and then you're good to go. In terms of buttons, this unit actually has a lot of buttons, both from on the back and the front side of the joystick. Right here, in the back of the unit, you have a slider. So this is an axis slider. You can use it as a throttle, for the lack of better use, or anything else that requires an axis. So if you don't have a throttle quadrant, definitely you can use this as a throttle. On this side here, we've got 6 buttons, as you can see here. They're pretty nicely fit, and then for symmetry, you have another 6 here in exactly the same configuration. Very nice buttons. However, I will say this. When the unit is set up, and so this is how the unit is set up on my desk, and if I'm holding it like this, it would be extremely difficult to use the buttons here. So maybe if those 6 buttons were also here, it would have been a lot easier to use. But then, they would neglect somebody who's left-handed and have the joystick on the other hand. So I think it's a good toss-up between design, ergonomic design and functionality, where both pilot and co-pilot will be able to enjoy 12 buttons, of which 6 are visible and 6 are not. But again, you can have a good feel for these, once, because they are, there is a little, dent here in the buttons, so you can definitely feel them while you have your fingers on them when you are, using the joystick in right-handed operation. Of course, here on the top of the unit, you have a hat switch. This is more than likely going to be my camera control and X camera. And then you have a red button here and the black button. This will more than likely be mapped to disengage autopilot, and this will be more than likely mapped to disengage auto throttle. The front of the unit, beg your pardon, has additional buttons. There is this button here and this button here as well. So all in all, it does not really come short of buttons. Really, very highly functional units, I would say, in that respect. Overall, I think this is a brilliant unit. I'm very excited to have this as part of my flight sim gear. Specifically, very, very good for Airbus fans and Airbus pilots. I'm sure that that those who are Airbus fans will really appreciate this joystick, but not just Airbus fans. I think anyone who is in the flight sim hobby will really come to enjoy this flight stick. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that this joystick has zero noise in the sim, absolutely zero. So fantastic in terms of the final finish. However, that means that it is extremely sensitive, and you will absolutely need to configure response curves in X-Plane to make this work properly. Otherwise, the slightest movement will cause the aircraft to move, and it will probably, when you are pitching up or down, the aircraft will more than likely oscillate as a result. So this is just a word of caution, but we're going to take a look at how to configure everything in the sim just right about now. All right, let's head over to X-Plane and see how we can configure this TCA Sidestick Airbus Edition by Thrustmaster. All right, folks, we have loaded X-Plane now, and we are ready to configure our new TCA Sidestick Airbus Edition by Thrustmaster. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the settings, joystick, and we're going to select the TA320 Copilot. It was automatically detected by X-Plane. We're going to click on calibrate here and make sure all our controls are calibrated. Roll, and there is the yaw, and that's whatever we can do this as a throttle or something like that, or a reverser. That's the button in the middle of the unit on the back, as you've seen in the previous clip. So let's go ahead and do next and make sure all our controls are calibrated. All right, calibration is done, no problem. We're going to select the pitch for axis 0, and we're going to verify it. And then the roll on axis 1, and verify that as well. We'll verify the yaw and the slider. We're just going to use pitch and roll for this video. And of course, you can see that all the buttons are operational. So these are the hat switches, and then these are the different buttons on the stick. These are the buttons on the side, so you can configure those to your liking. All right, so let's take a look here at the unit now and see what happens. So I'm moving full left, full right, and full up, and full down. And of course, the yaw is not going to be simulated here, as it is just for yaw, and it will probably only show while we're airborne. Okay, so we are good to go now, and we're going to set the auto brake to max. The speed brake is armed, flaps are 1, and we are ready to go. All right, cabin. Cabin is checked, and config test. We are good to go. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to give it full throttle, and we're going to take off and see how the TCA Sidestick actually handles in an actual flight simulator. So here we go, 50%. Parking brake is released. Manual toga. (100 knots) checked. And rotate. Now, I'm making very, very small changes to the side stick here, and let me tell you, it's actually pretty good. Yeah. I actually don't have response curves set for the A321, but I noticed that they are required for the A319. I'm not exactly sure why. But yeah, as you can see here, I have perfect, really, let me set the climb thrust. There we go. Let's take a look here at the unit. So as I move here, you can now see how much force is being applied to the side stick to make the aircraft respond. And let me tell you, it's actually pretty good. Maybe just a little bit of a response curve on the A321, but on the A319, I noticed that, yeah, definitely a response curve is required to make it work properly. All right, so we're gonna, by the way, we took off from Toulouse in France. So we're gonna head back now and land the aircraft.
Too low terrain. Long landing, 2,700 meters remaining, 2,400.
Very nice indeed. Maybe just a little bit of response curve for the pitch would really do the trick. The roll is absolutely fine. It is quite a sensitive joystick, but with the A319, I noticed that I had to really apply some serious response curve to make it work properly, but not with the A321. Absolutely marvelous. I love how this really works in the sim. Really a no-brainer in terms of setup. Very, very easy, as you have witnessed here, that the setup is quite easy. It was immediately detected by X-Plane, so the only thing you need to do is really calibrate and select your axis from the drop-down menus and assign all your buttons, and you're pretty much good to go there. Now, what I mean by noise, just for those of you who do not know, you can see now that there is no flicker here, right? So you see this is centered and it doesn't move. And I'll show you, for example, on my rudder pedal, you see how this is kind of vibrating, it's twitching. That's because there is some noise in my rudder pedals, and that's not very good. And you will need to compensate for that somehow. But with those joysticks, with the TCA Sidestick Airbus Edition, zero noise, absolutely nothing, which makes it a very stable flight control and works extremely well with the Airbus, but it also works with any other aircraft if that's what you choose to do. Well, folks, this brings us pretty much to the conclusion of our review today of the TCA Sidestick Airbus Edition by Thrustmaster. I hope that this was an informative and insightful video. If you have any questions, please do post them in the comments section below. Until next time, please take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you all very soon. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.